This story is told from a girl's perspective, and to protect everyone's identity and the locations, their names and places will be kept secret. On a rainy and stormy night, my 4 friends, Emma, Mark, Daniel, Sophia, and I, decided to go on a thrilling adventure. We wanted to take a night drive into a dark, spooky forest. Little did we know that this fun idea would turn into a terrifying night. The rain was pouring down, and the thunder made the night feel scarier. Our car headlights cut through the rain as we drove into the forest. The wind was howling, and the forest was full of strange sounds. It was a night that gave us the chills. After a while, we realized that Sophia and Mark were missing. We called out for them, but the loud wind and thunder drowned our voices. We were scared and didn't know where they had gone. We decided to search for them with our flashlights. Even though the rain was soaking us, we stumbled upon a spooky, old cabin. Its windows were broken, and the door was hanging loosely on its hinges. The rain on the roof made it sound even scarier, and there was a strange scratching noise coming from the kitchen inside. Inside the cabin, we found Sophia and Mark, looking scared and worried. They told us that an old man named Henry had invited them in. It was strange, but they felt they had no other choice. The scratching sounds from the kitchen added to our unease. In one room, we found disturbing things on the wall, newspaper clippings, photos, and scary drawings that hinted at something very wrong. The rain outside got even heavier, and the thunder sounded scarier. We were about to leave when Henry entered the room with a sinister smile. He invited us to stay, but we knew he had bad intentions. We had to find a way to escape quickly. Emma pretended to be interested in what Henry was saying, while the rest of us made a plan to get help. She sent a text to the police with our location, and the rain outside made it harder to hear anything. We could hear police sirens getting closer, and we felt relieved. Henry became more nervous as he noticed our anxiety. Time was running out. Just as Henry got closer to reveal his true intentions, the police arrived with sirens and lights, sounding like a rescue in the storm. They arrested Henry and found evidence of his terrible crimes. Henry was a dangerous criminal who had been hiding in the forest. The things on the wall in the cabin were proof of his evil deeds. We had narrowly escaped becoming his victims. The police asked us questions and made sure Sophia and Mark were okay. Henry was taken away by the police, and the memory of that scary night in the rainy forest would stay with us forever. In the end, our fun adventure had turned into a nightmare. We had discovered a dark secret in the forest and had barely escaped with our lives. It was a lesson about being cautious and trusting our instincts when things felt wrong, especially on a stormy, scary night. In a quiet, strange place called Willowville, I just moved into a cozy house. I didn't know anyone in town, but I soon made friends with 3 nice people, Emily, Jake, and Olivia. As time went by, we became good friends. We often had fun in the old forest near our town, laughing and sharing secrets, but I didn't know that something scary was hidden in our friendship. One spooky night, with the moon making everything dark, Emily, Jake, and Olivia asked me to play a game of hide and seek at midnight. I was excited, thinking it would be a great way to become even closer friends. The game started at midnight. They told me to hide, and they would try to find me. My heart raced as I ran into the scary cemetery outside the town, where the moon barely gave any light. I chose an empty grave to hide, hoping they wouldn't find me. As time passed, I started feeling really scared. What scared me the most was the silence. I stayed quiet in that dark grave, feeling very scared. I listened carefully, and that's when I made a really frightening discovery. The name on a nearby grave was the same as one of my new friends, Olivia. I was so scared that I realized this wasn't just a game. It was a bad plan to do something very wrong to me. Emily, Jake, and Olivia had tricked me into coming here, and I didn't know it. With shaky hands, I quietly got out of the grave, worried that they might be close by. My heart pounded, and the darkness made everything look strange. I had to be really brave and find my way out of the creepy forest while they were chasing me. I couldn't trust anyone in Willowville, not even the friends I thought were good. I ran through the dark woods, with branches scratching me, and I could hear Emily, Jake, and Olivia following me, saying weird things that gave me the creeps. At last, I found a way out of the forest into an open space, but I couldn't see the town. The forest seemed to go on forever, and I was trapped. I had to be very smart and brave to get away from my friends and the spooky town of Willowville, while figuring out the weird forest that was trying to keep me there. My life was in danger as I ran away from my friends, who had turned into something really scary in the dark night. I relied on my memory and instincts to find a hidden path in the forest, something I had noticed earlier. It led me away from the town, and I followed it as quickly and quietly as I could. The moonlight helped me see the way as I moved through the woods, my heart pounding. I knew that my only chance was to put as much distance as possible between me and my now sinister friends. As I ran, I reached a river that was rushing and noisy. It was too deep to cross, but I spotted an old, rickety bridge nearby. I carefully made my way across, hoping they hadn't seen where I had gone. The eerie chanting of my friends grew fainter, and I knew I had a moment's advantage. I had to find a safe place to hide. I eventually stumbled upon a small, abandoned cabin hidden deep in the forest. It was run down and seemed like no one had been there for a long time. It was my only option, so I cautiously entered and barricaded the door. Inside the cabin, I found an old phone with a working signal. I called for help and told the authorities what had happened. They arrived soon after, and with their assistance, I managed to escape the sinister clutches of Emily, Jake, and Olivia. It was a terrifying experience, but with quick thinking and a bit of luck, I had escaped from the town of Willowville and my once trusted friends who had turned into something truly terrifying. After my harrowing escape, in morning I felt compelled to return to that eerie graveyard in Willowville, despite the haunting memories it held. With a heavy heart, I placed a bouquet of fresh flowers on the graves of Emily, Jake, and Olivia. As I was paying my respects, I noticed an elderly worker tending to the cemetery. His eyes were filled with sadness as he saw me. I decided to ask him about the tragic history of my former friends. With a deep sigh, he began to speak. Those kids met with a terrible accident years ago. They were playing near an old, crumbling building in the graveyard, and it collapsed on them. It was a heart-wrenching incident for this town. I was taken aback as the worker explained that their deaths had been a tragic accident, not the sinister ritual I had feared. I felt a mix of relief and sorrow, realizing that my escape from their ominous plans had come at a high cost. As I walked away from the cemetery, I couldn't shake the feeling of both sadness and gratitude. I had escaped a terrible fate, but I also felt empathy for the lost lives of my friends who had perished in such a tragic accident. The shadows of that night would forever linger in my memory, a reminder of the thin line between fear and reality. I'm Lily, and this is the chilling story of a night that still haunts my nightmares. It all began when I turned 18, and my friends Emma, Mark, Josh, and I decided to embark on a late-night adventure deep into a dense, mysterious forest. The darkness was impenetrable, and a thick, ominous mist surrounded us, making it hard to see the road. As fate would have it, I was the one driving. Despite having no prior experience, anxiety gnawed at me as the road twisted deeper into the forest. And then, out of nowhere, it happened. A horrifying collision. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. We had hit a man who had seemingly materialized in the middle of the road. He lay lifeless on the ground. Panic gripped us, and we were miles away from any help. In our desperation, we made an unthinkable decision. We chose to bury the man in the forest and pretend the accident never occurred. We dug a grave under the oppressive silence of the forest, the weight of our guilt bearing down on us. We buried the man deep in the cold, unforgiving soil. Our nightmare, however, had only just begun. That night, strange and terrifying events started to unfold. Whispers filled the air, and ominous shadows seemed to follow our every move. It was as if the forest had come to life with an evil presence. In my dreams, the man we had buried began to haunt me. He appeared, his eyes filled with anger and torment, whispering promises of revenge. My friends, too, experienced the supernatural, with ghostly figures and eerie encounters becoming part of their lives. Desperate to escape our horrific fate, we returned to the forest, determined to uncover the truth. As we unearthed the grave we had filled, the vengeful spirit of the man emerged, his eyes ablaze with an otherworldly fury. He had returned from the grave, and he was hell-bent on exacting his revenge. The forest transformed into a nightmarish labyrinth. As we fled from the relentless spirit, the trees seemed to reach out with gnarled, skeletal hands, and the once peaceful forest had become a realm of terror. One by one, my friends met terrible fates, unable to escape their guilt and the relentless torment of the forest. As they suffered, the haunting road claimed them. I was the last one standing, driven to the brink of insanity, pursued by the unrelenting ghost. I was trapped in a never-ending nightmare, a chase through the sinister woods. And then, my moment of salvation came. I reached the safety of a church, where the presence of a holy cross protected me. I spent a horrifying night there, listening to the vengeful spirit's angry cries outside. This tale of terror serves as a stark reminder that some secrets can never be buried, and that the horrors we unleash can chase us to the darkest corners of the world, where even the strongest of faith may be our only defense.